They've just walked from Marble Arch, where we were earlier. This protest is marking 2 years since the large-scale protest happened in Hong Kong in 2019, and there were over 1 million people protesting in Hong Kong on June the 9th, 2019, and they were protesting against the extradition law, the extradition bill, sorry. So that bill was withdrawn, but there were fears that it could have been used to send dissidents to mainland China. You can probably hear a lot of noise here. There's actually a few different protests going on. You can see over here, well, here are the Hong Kong, Free Hong Kong Revolution Now flags. And there's also the flags at the top of the balcony. And then there's also this large Nigerian human rights protest there too. So it's quite busy on Trafalgar Square today, and it's really lovely weather, which is nice for everyone and a change for the UK anyway. If we have a pan over here, you can see some of the protesters are standing, and the colours they're wearing, their dress code today is in black, and they've got masks on, and there's more and more people arriving now. So just a bit of background about the extradition bill. So that was in 2019, and the big protest was sparked by that, and there were fears that it could have been used to send dissidents back to mainland China. To send dissidents to mainland Chinese courts to face trial, and of course those Chinese courts are controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and this was really raised concerns that it was going to undermine Hong Kong's freedoms. So maybe we're going to come closer to a couple of the people here. We might see if they want to have a talk with us, if we can have a little walk. Okay. Obviously a lot of people have masks on because they don't want their family to be at risk in Hong Kong, so we're going to just see if they want to talk to us first. Hi, excuse me. Hello. This is NTD. We're broadcasting live.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if you could tell me why you're here today?
We are come to fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. Yeah, it's because today is the 12th of June, and it is the second anniversary of the protest in 2019 that many Hong Kongers has protest against Hong Kong. Now a lot of Hong Kong youngsters are in prison. That's why we come here. We want to fight for the freedom. We stand with all the Hong Kongers who are still suffering in their place, and we wish that Hong Kong has democracy one day, and maybe we can gain independence one day.
So have you been here for... have you come from Hong Kong, or have you lived here for a long time? What's your...
Oh, I just arrived last year. So, yeah. So here, a lot of family from Hong Kong, because they are afraid that their children will be brainwashed because they are changing the textbooks and things like that. So they are afraid that their children will be having a very bad education and they have no freedom. So you can see a lot of family bringing their children here today as well.
And what was it like for you? You've had to leave Hong Kong. You have to leave your family. How was that for yourself?
Well, that's we feel bad, of course. It's like we wish that one day we will come back to Hong Kong, and we can bring democracy there.
Thank you very much. Do you mind telling me your name if you'd like to?
Mr. Lee. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. Okay, so that was one of the protesters here. Let's just try not to bump into the people behind us. I'm just going to come to the side. We are expecting some speakers. We're running a little bit behind schedule, and we are expecting some speakers. Oh, I can feel the water from the fountain. There's a fountain over there. So let's see if we can have a chat with some of the people here. See if they want to speak. There's someone over here actually. Yeah. Okay. We're now going to go towards the speakers because I think they're going to be starting. So we'll slowly walk over there. You can see Simon Cheng there.
攬晒翻去嗰邊啊！阿 Fin， 揾得唔緊要，唔使啦。Okay, we have many other speakers to compete before 3:30. There's another rally at Chinatown, Leicester Square, 3:30. But we are running a bit late, so we have other speakers, I know. Can we have the speaker from now? Now, Colombe is going to say a few words. Colombe from now. Thank you. 呢個每個星期五佢都嚟示威㗎，而家全球40個國家咧已經示威支持香港㗎啦。
So there's about 9 speakers lined up, so we're going to see what they've got to say now.
Hi everyone, I'm Colombe from Now. Welcome, thank you for having me. A couple of hours drive from here right now, some of the most powerful people in the world are gathering at the G7 meeting. Those people have the power to come together and impose sanctions to protect Hong Kong, to protect freedom fighters. But the question is whether they will do it or not. At Now, we have been organizing protests every Friday to stand in solidarity with Hong Kong for over a year. As you've probably heard from my French accent, I'm not from Hong Kong. But we believe that it is necessary for the world to come together, to unite, and to show solidarity. For over a year, in more than 40 cities, people have come together every Friday during the pandemic to ask world leaders to protect freedom fighters. The question is whether they will. In May 2020, Joshua Wong told us at one of those events, it's time for the world to pay attention to Beijing's oppression. We should all do more to stand with Hong Kong. But not only with Hong Kong. In the last year, oppressions have happened in Belarus, in Russia, in Venezuela, in Tibet, against Uyghurs, in Nigeria, in Palestine, in so many places. And it's why it's so important for people like me and for us living in a democracy to come together and unite for freedom. When I see people in Hong Kong and elsewhere risking everything standing on the front lines, it gives me hope. And I hope that those of us who can will continue to protest, will continue to stand up. I hope that world leaders will have no choice but to impose sanctions on those whose hands are soaked in blood. I hope that we will be able to promote democracy above the tallest mountains and the deepest oceans. So right now, a couple of hours away, the G7 is meeting. Let's say it, let's tell them, stand with Hong Kong, stand with Tibet, stand with Uyghurs, stand with Venezuela, stand for democracy. You know, all over here, we see people from all age groups, from so many different nationalities, from so many different backgrounds. And we're all here for the same reason. Today it's for Hong Kong, tomorrow it's for Taiwan, the day after it's for Belarus. Because we believe that together united, we cannot be defeated. So let's tell them, together united we cannot be defeated, and we won't stop but standing for Hong Kong. Thank you. I'm not sure who should get the mic now. While we wait for the next speaker, maybe we do a screen stand with Hong Kong. Yeah? Okay, what do we want? Stand with Hong Kong! What do we want? What do we want? They have to hear you in Cornwall. What do we want? When do we want it? Now! Okay. I'm not sure who the next speaker is.
He's going to ask for the others to come over.
各位香港人，大家好！今日係612，612見證住我哋香港人喺和平抗爭之下得到啲乜嘢啊？係政權嘅暴力打壓啊！大家記唔記得612發生過咩事？喺中信被圍困嘅市民，喺中信面被逼食住催淚彈，喺橋上面我哋食催淚彈，我哋食子彈，記者被子彈打中。 記者被催淚彈打中，我哋去咩啊？我哋諗住和平示威，希望佢哋撤回逃犯條例，得翻嚟嘅係咁樣嘅鎮壓。我哋香港人做錯啲乜嘢啊？我哋今日 嚟到呢一度，正正就係為嗰啲喺香港冇辦法集會、冇辦法發聲嘅人，我哋為佢哋發聲，係咪？我明白大家嚟到英國，可能覺得好辛苦，要適應新生活，要揾屋住，要讀書，要承受好多壓力。但係見到6月4號，見到今日依然有咁多人嚟到聲援，咁多人嚟到紀念612，我知道就算香港人分散喺世界各地，我哋都依然會團結一齊，依然會繼續為香港發聲。嚟到海外，的而且確我哋會融入當地，我哋的而且確我哋嘅身份會慢慢被主流嘅文化可能會沖淡，但係見到大家今日喺度凝聚，凝聚今日嘅關鍵字嚟到海外港人就係要凝聚大家嘅力量，大家凝聚嘅力量形成唔同嘅香港人群體，先至可以令到喺海外嘅戰線繼續有效，先至可以聲援到喺香港嘅香港人，為香港冇人發聲嘅坐緊監嘅人繼續去發聲，佢哋係靠住我哋噶，我哋喺海外亦都有呢一個義務，有呢一個責任，去為佢哋成全呢一樣嘢，去成全香港人嘅身份，去成全香港人嘅文化同埋價值。而大家會問，究竟組織一齊有乜嘢嘅意義，有咩作用？大家想做實事係咪？喺呢一度喺海外組織成唔同香港人群體，可以協助當地人、協助香港人，先至喺呢一度生活。香港人嚟到有好多嘅需要，語言、教育、健康、醫療等等嘅都需要我哋嘅協助。點樣可以幫到佢哋啊？我哋自己入邊有好多嘅人才，我哋有好多嘅人組成唔同嘅群體，有社區中心唔同嘅層面上面服務翻嚟到嘅香港人，幫助大家適應。同時透過組織，我哋更加容易可以保留到、承傳到我哋嘅文化。喺呢一個場合之後，見到大家嚟到呢一個活動，嚟到呢一個集會、呢個遊行，正正就係保留住大家文化、保留住大家身份嘅一個方式。嚟緊有好多嘅活動、好多嘅日子，我哋需要去紀念㗎。721、831、10月1等等，全部都需要我哋喺度，全部都需要我哋出席。嚟到嘅香港人會有好多焦慮，有好多有好多唔開心、好大嘅壓力。正正就係大家團結一齊，互相協助，先至能夠令到香港喺海外都依然發到聲，能夠聲援到喺香港嘅香港人。除咗組織成內港人群都要協助當地港人，透過組織，我哋都可以令到我哋嘅聲音更加大，以群體嘅聲音，同埋我哋嚟到海外所擁有嘅公民權利，向政府施壓，要求佢哋繼續回應香港嘅議題。喺呢一度，我想話俾大家聽嘅就係，見到咁多人嚟到，我哋起碼有3000人今日，係史無前例啊！而且今日有超過20個國家同埋49個城市，就係證明唯有透過香港人喺海外唔同嘅城市都團結起嚟，我哋先至有奮鬥嘅機會，有作戰嘅機會。所以喺呢度，我希望香港人更加喺海外要凝聚、要團結，甚至係唔係淨係香港人之間被迫害嘅族群，唔淨止係香港，有東突厥嘅人，有西藏嘅人，有內蒙古嘅人，佢哋都需要大家嘅協助，我哋都需要佢哋嘅協助。喺面對抗共嘅機會情況之下，我哋更加需要團結，所有被迫害嘅人一齊團結抗共，將聲音發大，向國際社會施壓，團結大家就係抗共。嚟緊6月23號係國際行動日，亦都係國際奧運日。今年嘅主題正正就係希望可以凝聚團結全世界，去杯葛2022嘅北京殘奧。佢話俾佢哋聽，我哋唔會對佢哋喺佢哋嘅人權嘅爭壓，對族群嘅迫害，我哋唔會聽唔到，我哋唔會睇唔到，我哋會發聲，我哋會譴責，我哋會追究，我哋會杯葛北京嘅殘奧嚟緊。And the last bit, I would just like to address all the English speakers here. We Hong Kongers have been fighting for 2 years now, and we, along with other groups that are oppressed by the Chinese Communist Party, are witnessing the prelude to an Orwellian future. And if we don't want that to happen, the only fighting chance we have is if we all stand in solidarity to boycott the 2022 Beijing Paralympics. Only then we can stand a fighting chance to send a clear message to the Chinese Communist Party that we were not turning a blind eye to the human rights exploitation to Tibet, to East Turkestan, to Hong Kong, to Southern Mongolia. We will keep fighting, and we'll continue to fight until we're free from brainwashing, until we're free from surveillance, until we are free from oppression. 光復香港，光復香港，多謝。
唔好意思，今日即係條龍比較長，不過呢個好事嚟嘅。咁啊，因為其實我哋人數非常之多啦，係有超過3000人係出席呢一個倫敦嘅集會。以我嘅記憶嚟講咧，其實應該係最多香港人出席嘅香港倫敦集會嚟嘅。即係好感謝大家去出席呢一個集會。其實嚟緊就仲有幾個嘉賓去發言嘅。咁我因為而家其實嗰個 run down 都比較打亂咗少少啦。咁我就有請Simon 去作為下一個發言嘉賓先。The next speaker will be Simon Cheng, the founder of Hong Kongers in Britain. Thank you.
好多謝，見到大家今日仲喺呢個地方，我哋非常之感動，因為我哋見到團結嘅力量，亦都喺呢一個地方係英國最富有歷史。各種嘅遊行集會，各種嘅民主抗爭嘅運動，由英國本地延伸到去海外。我哋香港人延續200年嘅歷史，我哋香港人嘅身份由1948年開始認識香港呢個地方，而今日我哋嚟到倫敦。但我哋永遠唔會忘記我哋嘅家鄉。喺當中或者有一啲嘅人仲有機會可以返到去，可以冇事喎。但係我哋唔好唔記得，我哋仲有一啲嘅人一返到去就會面臨迫害。我哋唔好唔記得，我哋仲有更多嘅手足。而家喺香港嘅政治監獄入邊，革命永遠係艱難嘅。民主嘅運動面對住全球最有權力嘅一個帝國係艱難嘅。但係我哋秉持住呢個嘅信念，喺世界各地繼續去堅持，繼續話俾世界知我哋嘅信念。我知道而家呢個時間呢唔係話好多，所以呢為咗令到更多人知道，所以我喺呢度呢最後去朗讀一篇嘅歌詞，用英文話俾外國人知道。Those forgettable memories can never be bygone. Deep in our hearts, we still remember that night and day. We deplore time went by. We changed grief into power. Search for a truth, an ideal for good. Those unforgettable memories pass us the fire. Deeply believe the dream will come true someday. That message can be driven home only with the might of yours and mine. Break the ice, keep on searching the ideal. Not scare and hold on, though the road is long. Just cut the thorns and never give a damn. Although speechless, thousands of people grouped together yesterday and today don't want to analyze whether that is genuine or sham. But we have a dream that never dies. Just remember, however the storm is strong, freedom still blooms. And we have a dream that never dies. Just remembers that come from our hearts. Just remember, when the date I was detained by the Chinese National Security Police, this out the lyrics and song cheer me up and preserve. So let's work together. Thank you so much. 光復香港！光復香港！光復香港！光復香港！多謝大家嘅堅持，多謝。
唔該曬 Simon 嘅發言。Our next speaker is Jaya Pathak, who is the co-executive director of Yet Again, a NGO fighting for human rights for the Uyghurs and Hong Kongers.
Today marks 2 years since the anti-extradition movement in Hong Kong. 2 years on, the world watches as the Chinese government continue to crack down on democracy and freedom in Hong Kong. The Chinese government remain relentless in its attack, and democracy is under increasing threat around the world. I would like to tell a short story. There is a brave woman, a resilient activist, full of strength and brilliance. She's based in the United States. She spoke out about the mass detention of the Uyghur people in the Uyghur region. She then found out that her sister had disappeared just days after she made that speech. The activist I am talking about is Rushan Abbas, and her sister is Dr. Gulshan Abbas. Dr. Gulshan's birthday is today. It's her 3rd birthday behind the bars, just because her sister spoke the truth and just because they are Uyghur. This is the reality for the Uyghur people and other Turkic groups in the Uyghur region. As we stand here at this very moment, up to 3 million Uyghurs are interned in over 1,000 concentration camps. More than 500,000 have been transported to work as slaves. Uyghur women of childbearing age face forced sterilization, systematic rape in camps, and forced marriage to Han Chinese men. Nearly 1 million children have been removed from their families to state-run orphanages. The Chinese government aimed to do this to eradicate the Uyghur people. This is genocide. So as we come together from different backgrounds and faiths, let us remember how much we have in common. We have joined today to support Hong Kongers, Tibetans, Uyghurs, and all groups who are victims of the Chinese government. In doing so, we have joined today because we believe that our world can be a better place, that democracy is a fundamental pillar of society and freedom is a human right. If we are to stand tall in the face of the autocratic Chinese Communist Party regime, we must do so together. Hong Kongers, Tibetans, Uyghurs, Taiwanese, all those who support pro-democracy. There is strength in unity, and the movement for democracy and for justice must be pursued together. In the last 2 years, whilst things have changed hugely for what feels like the worst, not all things have. Hong Kongers, your creativity, your intelligence, and your bravery inspired hundreds of thousands across the world 2 years ago and continues to do now. My dear friend Rahima Mahmood, the UK project director of the World Uyghur Congress and of our organisation Stop Uyghur Genocide, could not be here today and sends her apologies. But she left me with a message for all of you. While many have long ignored our plight, allowing this genocide to be perpetrated with impunity, the same cannot be said of those who have experienced Chinese state violence firsthand. Our friends from Hong Kong, our friends from Taiwan, and our friends from Tibet have always been amongst our most vocal supporters and allies. I would like to take this moment to express my most sincere gratitude from the bottom of my heart for all of your support and solidarity. Who, after all, knows the nature of the threat each one of our peoples are subject to, as well as each other? Fight for freedom!
Stand with Hong Kong!
Fight for freedom!
Stand with Hong Kong!
Thank you.
Stand with freedom!
光復香港！光復香港！民族自強！ So now we are going to have the next speaker, who is Fareen Passan, the founder of Global Alliance for Tibet and Persecuted Minorities. Thank you.
Good afternoon and ni hao. I come here today as a Tibetan who has decades of experience as a political victim. Our country, Tibet, is still under the Chinese occupation. Our people still are facing brutal repression. Our freedom of speech, as enshrined in the United Nations Charter or even in the Chinese Constitution, is curtailed by the CCP regime. Ever since the People's Republic of China was established in October 1949. I'm delighted to join with you today to mark the July 12th Global Campaign for Hong Kong to commemorate the second anniversary of the 2019 Hong Kong Revolution. Our presence here today in London at the time of G7 Summit in Cornwall, joining in the forces with NGOs and supporters from 49 cities across 20 countries, show our deep respect, solidarity, and support the Hong Kong Be Water 2021 Global Campaign to commemorate the captioned anniversaries of Hong Kong. Only last week, we marked the 32nd anniversary of the pro-democracy movement and the Tiananmen massacre in Beijing. Next month, on 5th July, we commemorate the Urumqi massacre, the killing of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, which is East Turkestan. Earlier this year, on 10th of March, Tibetans observed the 62nd anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day in Lhasa on 10th of March 1959, which saw tens of thousands of Tibetans being killed by the PLA troops. So, we do feel the pain, the suffering, and the continued sacrifices being made by the people of Hong Kong for your freedom, justice, and democracy. We pay tribute to the bravery of the people of Hong Kong, especially the young people, to name a few: Joshua Wong, Nathan Law, Heng Tung Chow, and some of young leaders are here like Simon Cheng and Finn Law, who all call for a change to bring about genuine democracy and freedom for the people of Hong Kong. Hong Kong to be governed by the people of Hong Kong and not by the CCP regime. Once, we Tibetans used to look at Hong Kong, used to look at the Hong Kong model of one country, two systems that could benefit the people of Tibet if adopted as a political resolution to the China-Tibet conflict, which is going on for the last 70 years now. The joint declaration agreement on Hong Kong between China and Great Britain was supposed to last until 2047. This is no longer the case. In the last couple of years, we have been seeing in Hong Kong, we have been seeing that Hong Kong seems no longer the right model for our peaceful conflict resolution until more liberal-minded Chinese leaders emerge in China. So if the CCP wants to sustain itself as a political party or a ruling force for the good of the people, as it would like to be known as, then Beijing must listen and accommodate to the calls of peoples in Hong Kong, Tibet, East Turkestan, Taiwan, and Southern Mongolia. Failing that, it is a matter of time before CCP destroyed forever. So it is time we stop the CCP regime from committing further crimes against humanity. What we are seeing with the Uyghur Muslims, Falun Gong practitioners, cultural genocides in Tibet and Southern Mongolia, and of course the ongoing situation in Hong Kong is not acceptable. So those of us, the victims under the CCP regime, must come together in a stronger force. We must unite in our cause for freedom, democracy, truth, justice, and strongly challenge the CCP leadership altogether. To conclude, I thank the Hong Kong Liberty for inviting me today to express our support and solidarity with the people of Hong Kong. Friends, we must not give up. We should remain determined with our goal. Our result must be one. We must get rid of that CCP regime. I say this again, the wind of change is coming. It is coming. It is coming to China. It is coming to Hong Kong. It is coming to Tibet, East Turkestan, Taiwan, and Southern Mongolia. Let's unite. Unite for democracy. Unite for freedom. And unite for human rights. Truth, justice for all peoples in China and its occupied country. Free China, free Hong Kong, free Tibet, free East Turkestan, free Taiwan, and free Southern Mongolia. Thank you very much.
Stand with Tibet. Stand with Uyghurs.
The next speaker will be a recording from the Frontline protester in exile, which is known as To Long, or in English, RS International.
大家好，我係屠龍嘅 Edward。首先多謝攬炒巴邀請我哋嚟發言先啦。因為攬炒巴咧話上今次嘅集會想有唔同界別嘅聲音出現，所以咧就邀請咗我哋。喺2019年運動入邊咧，我哋屠龍可以話由頭到尾咧都係最前面嘅。而喺每一場戰役入邊，我哋見到好多唔同嘅情況同埋行為，令到我哋都有幾多隊友都喺度諗，究竟大家知唔知自己為咗啲咩而出嚟而去抗爭？啱啱所講啦，喺前邊見到嘅情況咧，就例如可能有一位手足啦，手持盾牌，而我哋當時咧只係輕裝上陣，於是咧我哋又諗住揾呢位手足嚟做一個 cover 嘅行為。咁喺前進嘅過程咧，呢位手足都幫我哋做好掩護，但係喺最關鍵嘅時候咧，班狗射 TG 嘅時候，呢一個手持盾牌嘅手足咧，就即刻向我哋嘅反方向跑。反而將我哋嘅血肉之軀去捱咗無數嘅橡膠子彈。講呢件事嘅原因呢，並唔係諗住去怪任何人，而係想希望大家可以諗翻清楚我哋當初為咗啲咩而去抗爭。一人抗爭入邊其實有好多唔同嘅崗位，每一個崗位嘅人究竟係咪真係有足夠嘅心態應付嗰個崗位嘅工作？我哋呢一班人點解成日出現喺最前線？係因為我哋知道如果我哋真係輸咗，個後果可以好慘。唔一定個個都係勇武，但係每一個崗位其實都好重要。希望每一個手足喺出嚟之前，可以諗翻清楚你自己究竟適合去邊一個崗位度抗爭。啲人成日話要操 fit 體能，但係其實我想講心態唔好嘅話，你影響到嘅唔係淨係自己，可能就會影響到其他人。雖然2020年開始香港發生咗好多事，例如有疫情之類咁樣嘅嘢，我認為呢個反而係一個好好嘅機會去訓練好我哋每一位講嘅訓練，除咗身體上，仲有心態上。如果仲有更大型嘅運動出現嘅時候，希望大家可以發揮得更好。
大家好，我係 James。聽完隊長 Edward 提到呢個集會想有勇武嘅聲音，但我想講一點。其實我並唔認為自己係大家眼中所謂嘅勇武，我只係一個喺唔同嘅時間做一啲自己認為應該要做嘅嘢嘅人。而我認為喺2019年嘅香港，我應該要用比較激進嘅手法去做事，只係咁啱手法喺大家眼中會稱之為勇武。點解我要提呢一點呢？因為我認為喺唔同環境、唔同身份、唔同時間底下，有唔同種應該要做嘅事。喺過去呢2年，好多人都會分辨咩人係勇武，咩人係和理非，然而衍生出一句説話，就係和不分。意思係話和理非同勇武要團結，互相配合。但當我成為一個流亡者嘅時候，我對和勇不分呢4隻字有新嘅睇法。其實和同勇可以同時喺同一個人身上並存，喺唔同嘅時間同環境下攞出應該發揮嘅嗰一面，為大局有所貢獻，做到喺同一個人身上和勇不分。希望透過今次嘅機會令大家有新嘅睇法。多謝大家。
大家好，我係 RSI 嘅成員團長。喺幾位成員或者再多嘅流亡者當中， 我係比較幸運嘅一個。除咗開設咗網店之外，亦都得到當地有心人士嘅聘用。好感激大家嘅支持，令到我可以自力更生之餘，仲可以幫到其他嘅人。大家啱啱睇完隊長同詹士嘅分享，相信大家心入面會有一個問題，就係我哋未來嘅發展方向同埋會做啲乜嘢。喺較早之前同攬炒巴傾合作嘅時候，多謝佢嘅啟發同埋意見，令到我哋有咗新嘅發展方向。嚟緊我哋會將 RSI 成為一個走向國際嘅品牌。現階段我哋會將 RSI 註冊為一個國際嘅商標，希望透過品牌去宣揚我哋嘅理念，以香港嘅抗爭事件作為元素，藉住我哋嘅商品向國際帶出香港19年發生過嘅事，希望世人唔好忘記香港人過去對共產極權嘅抗爭，更加唔好忘記香港人面對極權嘅打壓嗰種永遠唔會放棄嘅精神，亦都向人威屈服嘅態度。希望香港呢種永不屈服嘅精神能夠遍地開花，成為每個人願意對抗極權嘅一種信念。
Hey everyone, I'm Chris from a group called RSI. We used to be known as a Frontline protester team called Dragon Slaying Brigade in 2019, and we have founded a group called RS International since we exiled. Today our team members, Edward, James and Horace, have shared the past experience, personal thought and future plans by Cantonese. I would like to sum up their idea briefly by English. Probably most of you guys would know that Be Water is the main theme of this global campaign, and is known as one of the core tactics in Hong Kong protest during 2019. Be Water used to be a quote from Bruce Lee, and Bruce described that this philosophy is like formless, shapeless, like water. Be Water is not just about hit and run tactics on the street, but it's also about the way we shape our identities. As Edward, James and Horace mentioned, understanding who we are and what we should do in the next step, I think it's one of the most important tasks for every Hong Kong people who migrated or exiled, or even who are still staying in Hong Kong. Be water, my friend. We can be formless and shapeless. We do not only need to remember our past, but we also need to find our path to the future. Thank you, everyone.
我有好多謝屠龍嘅前線手足係去錄呢段音俾我哋大家聽。612係象徵住和勇不分嘅一個重要日子，所以我覺得勇武嘅聲音係非常之重要。And the next speaker will be Benedict Rogers, the CEO of Hong Kong Watch.
唔該晒。On behalf of Hong Kong Watch, it's a privilege to be with you today, and it is amazing to see so many people gathered here today. From Marble Arch to Trafalgar Square, in 9 cities around this country and in many cities around the world, let the message go out loud and clear, Quang Phuc Hong Kong Si Doi Gak Ming. Today, 2 years ago, the people of Hong Kong, not for the first time and not for the last time, stood up. They stood up for a simple, basic, fundamental, universal idea, freedom. And they stood up not only for their own freedom, for the freedom of Hong Kong, but for freedom itself. And so today we salute them, we stand in solidarity with them, we pay tribute to those who demonstrated 2 years ago. But today is not only a day to remember. Today is not only a day to pay tribute to those who courageously took to the streets on June 12th, 2019 and on other days 2 years ago. Today is not only a day to reflect on the contrast between the millions of peaceful Hong Kongers who protested with great dignity and the horrific police brutality with which they were met.
Today is not only a day to remember. Today is a day of action. Today is a day to say to the whole world, 2 years ago the people of Hong Kong stood up for freedom, and now we owe it to them to stand up for Hong Kong and fight for freedom. So we call on our governments, the British government, the G7 leaders who are meeting right now in Cornwall, and other democracies around the world, to act. The time for strong statements, welcome though they are, is over. Strong statements are not enough. We need action. So we need targeted Magnitsky sanctions against those who have destroyed Hong Kong's freedoms. And we need targeted sanctions against enterprises that are complicit with the Chinese Communist Party's grave human rights violations. We need coordinated action among world leaders. We need other countries to follow the UK's example, and I really am proud of the British government's initiative for British national overseas passport holders, to give them a lifeline, to give you a lifeline. But we need other countries to join us, to offer a lifeline to Hong Kongers, especially to non-BNOs, young people, frontline protesters who need to get out, who need a place of sanctuary. And we in Hong Kong Watch are working hard every day to persuade other governments to do that. But I want to say one thing to those of you, and I think there must be many, many of you among us today, those of you who have come to the UK recently, who've taken up the British government's BNO offer, or to those of you who are not BNOs but have come here in search of sanctuary here. I said this a week ago in Leicester Square, and I repeat it today in Trafalgar Square. I want to say to you 5 words. You are very welcome here. And we in Hong Kong Watch and our friends in other organisations and our friends in Parliament will do everything we can to make sure that you feel welcome, that you receive assistance that you need to settle here, that whatever challenges and problems you face here, we support you in those. But I also want to say, and I know you know this already, otherwise you wouldn't be here today, but I want to say that the BNO offer is not the end of the story. Both for the British government, we must not allow the government, we must thank them, we must applaud them, but we must not allow the government to think that that is all they need to do. So we must keep up the pressure on the British government to impose sanctions, to work with other countries to lead international pressure on the CCP. But we ourselves also mustn't think that our job is done. And those of you who have safety here mustn't think your struggle is over. Now you are in a place of freedom. So let's work together. Let's unite to fight for freedom and stand for Hong Kong. Hong Kong was once my home. I lived in Hong Kong for the first 5 years after the handover. And although I no longer live in Hong Kong, and in fact I cannot go to Hong Kong now, Hong Kong still lives on in my heart. And I want to say to the CCP, yes, you have destroyed, for now, Hong Kong's freedoms. But you have not destroyed Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is here in Trafalgar Square. It was there in Marble Arch. Hong Kong was in Leicester Square last week. It's in cities around this country and around the world, and it's in the hearts of every single person who loves Hong Kong and loves freedom. And finally, I want to say, I'm so glad that we had among us here today friends from Tibet and representing the Uyghurs. And I think it is so important, as we stand for Hong Kong, let us stand for the Uyghurs as well, and stand for Tibet, and stand also for Christians in China who are facing the worst crackdown since the Cultural Revolution, for human rights defenders, for dissidents, for bloggers, for citizen journalists, for anybody who dares to challenge Xi Jinping. We must all stand together. I want to also remember my friends in Hong Kong who are now in prison, our friends who are now in prison. It is good that Agnes Chow was released today, but she should never have been jailed in the first place. And let us constantly think of Joshua Wong, of Jimmy Lai, of Edward Leung, and of everybody, whether they are famous or not famous, everybody who is in prison in Hong Kong today or on trial. So, as we conclude this amazing rally, let us go from this place determined to redouble our efforts, to fight for Hong Kong, and to do the things that people in Hong Kong now can no longer do or face great danger in doing. We can do for them. We can sing glory to Hong Kong. We can protest. We can speak out. We can march. And we can say with one voice for the people of Hong Kong, Gong Fuk Hong Kong, Si Doi Gak Ming, Ga Yao.
光復香港，光復香港，民族自強。而家我哋會係有請老港橋吳女南先生係講兩句，係交代翻頭先發生咗嘅一啲衝突嘅事件嘅，係講兩句，然後我就會播埋最後一段錄音。咁大概成個集會就會完結。咁希望大家可以聽埋呢最後兩段嘅發言啦。
唔該，攬炒巴，其實今日嘅集會咧、聚會咧就係攬炒巴搞嘅。咁我哋知道咧，3點半咧有另外一場咧唐人街上嗰度搞嘅。咁我哋係冇意去衝場嘅，兄弟爬山各自努力，我哋彼此都係支持大家去搞。只不過唔同嘅場合、唔同嘅地方咧，就全部係過晒時。咁呢個係迫不得已，係唔係主觀願望係能夠做到嘅？咁要交代一下咧，就話頭先發生咗兩件事咧。嗰度有啲騷動咧，其實喺我嚟講係覺得可以避免嘅。係你喺英國咧，你有集會嘅自由，有言論嘅自由，但係好多人亦都有挑機嘅自由。好多人俾你挑機咧，你揸嘅旗幟揸嘅可以係示威嘅一啲和平嘅工具，但係你用啲旗去撩人哋或者用人去騷擾人咧，亦都可以做成一個攻擊性嘅武器㗎。喺英國嚟講，我講法治嘅，而家咁多警察喺度，係冇需要自己咁衝動去同人哋去衝突。咁於是有個手足咧，而家就喺警署係拉咗啦，應該仲要去處理佢。假如你唔係老華僑，好似我哋咁拉咗唔怕嘅，或者係啲政治人物被拉撲拉嘅，你就可以拉。有啲人你唔想被拉嘅，就千祈要忍一忍，唔好隨便俾人挑機成功。呢個對自己不利，對大會亦都好不利，對香港人嘅名譽亦都好難做。咁有班勇武嘅可以衝入唐人街，衝入唐人街冇問題，可以做好啲。但係你衝入唐人街想表示乜嘢，想做乜嘢咧？係咪想佔嗰個場咧？係咪想引起一啲不必要嘅衝突咧？假如你衝過行過去做完係冇所謂啊，但係你應該係有個組織，大家知道有個照應，知道點做。假如你入去俾人挑機嘅話，點樣應付啦？係咪可以沉着應付，全身而退咧？呢個先係好重要一個策略嚟㗎嘛。入唔入有乜所謂啫？即係可以入，嗰度係大家嘅地方。OK， 一陣間你可以，其實啲講者咧，我哋講嘢就好長氣㗎。有時呢度講完嗰度又講，都係講嗰啲嘢，其實可以減短啲，講兩句唔使講都得啦。好多謝各位啊！共同努力，光復香港，光復香港，光復香港，香港獨立，細聲晒啦！香港獨立，香港獨立，我都係被逼上梁山嘅咋，大中華交變咗有獨立香港。香港嘅形勢逼到我哋退無可退，走無可走，唔係點解大家喺度啊？大家心照啦，加油！
多謝 Dr. 伍，嚟緊我會播埋最後一段錄音，然後係由 Power to Hong Kong 嘅時候有大概20零30秒嘅呼籲，咁我哋就會圓滿結束。
大家好，我係 Bad Block 嘅阿勇。2年過去，好多人話抗爭已死，有人話係因為疫情，有人話因為國安法。抗爭行動一少，我哋就好似進退失據，底線一而再而三，因為唔同嘅原因後退。港共每行前一步，我哋就退後一步。限聚令嘅出現，香港人屌住要接受。 推行強制檢測，香港人屌住配合，甚至封區，香港人都只係屌政府嘅飯盒難食。真係強制打針，電話卡實名制，政治審查一再變本加厲，我哋好快連屌都冇得再屌。作為同路人，我好明白，唔係唔想再堅持，唔係唔想再做嘢，而係大家冇咩機會可以喺街頭聚集。直到前幾日6四，我哋睇到香港人仲未放棄，雖然只係形式上嘅表態，但係我哋唔再盲目認為國安法嘅通過就係世界末日，唔再因為限聚令而怯懦，仍然有手足願意挺身而出，高呼香港獨立、時代革命。醞釀咗1年有多，我哋聯合咗一班海外以及本土嘅手足，以慈明為代號，身先士卒喺5月尾重燃咗第一個反抗嘅火頭。行動嘅目的唔單止係增加港共管治成本，重要嘅係喚醒翻大家抗爭嘅信念，徹底衝破所謂嘅法律枷鎖。須知獨裁者而言，我哋嘅存在本身已經係犯罪。港共以法律作為政治工具迫害香港人，好多同路人都承受緊唔合理嘅過長刑期。我相信大家都有目共睹，納粹黨當日都係依法咁迫害猶太人，中共當年6四都係依法咁殺害北京嘅市民同埋學生。獨裁者嘅本質就係要我哋不經思考、盲目遵從權威，用唔公平嘅制度、不公義嘅法律條文嚟奴役我哋。2019年，我哋喺街頭慕名同行；2021年，我哋同樣並肩，永不妥協。各位仍然堅持喺海內外嘅兄弟手足，希望你哋可以揾翻19年嘅初衷同勇氣，行出嚟，用唔同嘅形式、實際行動一齊對抗極權，用行動表態，立頭名狀，成為馳名。星星之火可以燎原。
我係 Bad Boy 嘅 U 仔，流亡異鄉咁耐，我成日都不停咁諗，香港人應該點行下一步。其實唔同嘅路線，早就有好多社會賢達去講去做，但係有個領域我係一路都擺唔低嘅，就係建立一支屬於香港民族嘅武裝組織。有啲人可能會話：喂，咩年代啊，仲講武力？依家全部都係玩經濟侵略、文化侵略㗎啦。我哋可以喺第二啲香港人更加擅長嘅領域上面反攻中共。無可否認，其他路線有時可能比武力係更有成本效益嘅。但係我相信721、831受難嘅市民，當時腦入邊諗緊嘅係希望有一批自己人出嚟打走面前傷害佢哋嘅敵人。畢竟你同土匪講法律、講道德、講文化都係冇意義嘅，因為佢哋聽得明嘅就只有拳頭。其實無論去到幾有錢，文化軟實力有幾勁都好，權力最終都係體現喺到底你可以動用到幾大程度嘅武裝力量。喺絕對嘅武力壓制下，人民嘅意願、道德良知、法治精神都係軟弱無力嘅，因為所有嘅制度法規最終都係由武力去執行。講白啲啊，唔通大家又真係驚超長嘅刑期、唔公義嘅審訊咩？而係知道港共真係有能力捉你翻去受刑，而賦予佢哋呢個能力嘅就係港共嘅武裝組織香港警察。從來黨喺爭取民主自由道路上面最大嘅障礙都係獨裁政權嘅武裝力量。我明白依家優先要做嘅可能係宣揚團結同埋延續香港民族，但係長遠而言，建立武裝組織係必須要做嘅。發展武力唔係妄想中短期就可以同港共中共嘅武裝力量正面交鋒，而係為咗提高佢哋鎮壓我哋嘅成本，靠嘅係拖延時間，慢慢縮短敵我雙方嘅差距，甚至可以喺某啲情況下拎到甜頭，俾香港人知道敵人其實唔係打唔贏，佢哋都係有弱點嘅。建立武裝力量同獨立其實係相輔相成。如果你認同香港獨立係我哋唯一出路，咁就唔應該再停留喺討論利弊、討論可行性嘅層面。大家應該討論點樣去建立，喺邊度建立，甚至乎係着手籌備建立。我相信現階段冇人可以俾到個確實嘅時間表、路線圖出嚟，成件事係聽到好虛嘅。咁其實同我哋追求民族自主又唔係一樣咩？我哋咪係從來都未試過。最後，我希望香港民族自由富足，所有流亡同胞他朝重歸故土，香港獨立，民族自強，光復香港，時代革命。
光復香港！光復香港 ！Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom!
嚟緊我哋係會有一個少少嘅補充，係啦。
大家好，剛才唔記得自我介紹，我係香港思源嘅巴所，我哋係 Power to Hong Kongers， 一個喺英國讀書嘅學生組織。我哋一路喺英國都係有好多嘅 project， 希望去為嚟到嘅香港人爭取福利，希望喺英國繼續為香港議題發聲。眼見剛才有一啲嘅衝突，我哋都知道隨住越嚟越多嘅集會啊、遊行會發生呢，亦都容易會有多啲小粉紅嚟干預啊。而我哋上年10月開始已經有一個 project， 希望收集各位喺英國被騷擾嘅個案，從而砌成一個 report， 向英國政府表達佢哋要有多啲嘅防範措施，去保障我哋香港人或者任何人嘅發言嘅自由、發言嘅權利，同埋保障我哋嘅安全。所以喺度呼籲大家嚟緊集會啊、遊行啊，或者你參與任何同香港為香港發聲嘅議題，情況被騷擾嘅，網上面又好、親身經歷又好，被欺凌、被欺壓、被跟蹤、被性嘅，揾我哋香港思源，揾我哋講低你哋嘅個案，我哋會收集起嚟，同英國政府表達翻，希望佢哋喺呢度保護我哋嘅安全，令大家喺呢度可以真正自由、真正安全咁去發聲，為香港議題繼續努力、繼續作出貢獻。今日真係多謝大家，辛苦晒大家，多謝。
嗰個香港最後其實我都唔想長氣，一句有燈就有人，總之我哋唔會放棄 ，We will never surrender。嗰個香港，嗰個香港 ，Fight for freedom， Fight for freedom。多謝大家。2次，嗌10次，係好。嗰個香港，嗰個香港，嗰個香港。Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom! 多謝大家，今日嘅大會就此結束。其實喺 London Square 亦都有另一個集會嘅，大家可以係自己選擇自行去出席，咁亦都可能支持下同路人啦。多謝大家。
Okay, so those are really powerful speeches from everyone. We're just going to head towards this way. Because I can see Benedict Rogers there, and we spoke to him earlier, and see if he can give us a few words now. We'll slowly walk over. And you can see that actually it was all filled up here, up to the top of the stairs earlier. Must have been thousands of people here, with people up on the balcony, standing for Hong Kong. Okay, so now we're going to walk slowly over here. It's got a little bit of a queue, I think. So there are really powerful speeches from all the different types of people. Yeah, we're going to go and speak to Benedict. Hi there. We're just doing a live stream. I wondered if you had a few minutes. You look like you're about to go somewhere.
I am. I've got about 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah,
great.
Sure, no problem.
Great.
Okay, so this is Benedict Rogers, who's co-founder and chief executive of Hong Kong Watch. Can you tell me a bit about Hong Kong Watch, actually, shortly?
Yeah, so Hong Kong Watch was founded in 2017 in order to be an advocacy voice for Hong Kong's freedoms and human rights.
Yeah, there was really a lot of people here, and because you've known Hong Kong for a while, how have you seen Hong Kong change recently?
It's changed very dramatically. The reason we founded Hong Kong Watch 3.5 years ago was because we could see already Hong Kong's freedoms being eroded. But at the time, there was still some freedom. But really over the last year, especially since the introduction of the very draconian national security law, all of Hong Kong's freedoms have been destroyed. And Hong Kong now is a city of fear, really.
So it was nice when you were talking earlier about the how Hong Kong still lives on in the hearts of Hong Kongers around the world. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, I think it's really important to distinguish between the CCP's destruction of Hong Kong's freedoms and Hong Kong itself. And I think Hong Kong itself is both, of course, a place, but it embodies an idea. an idea of the spirit of freedom and openness. And I think that spirit lives on in the hearts of Hong Kongers and of people who love Hong Kong. And I think the identity and the culture of Hong Kong lives on in Hong Kongers. So that's why I think it's important. I think it would be very depressing if we said that Hong Kong itself has been destroyed. I think that's why we need to talk about the destruction of Hong Kong's freedoms, but the identity, the spirit, the culture lives on.
No, that's a really positive note. I've got one more question, if that's okay, because I think it might be in some people's minds because I read that there are 34,000 Hong Kongers who have applied to come and live in the UK, which was 6 times more as European people, or the EU. So what's the kind of attitude in the UK, would you say, for Hong Kongers to come here, and how do they feel coming into the UK with Brexit and everything? I know that seems like ages ago.
Well, I think on the whole, it's very positive. Of course, inevitably there are challenges and issues to be overcome. But on the whole, I think Hong Kongers are glad to be here because they have a place now of freedom. And I think on the whole, the response of the British public has been very positive to the government's plan to welcome Hong Kongers. I think people recognise our shared history together. They recognise that we have a responsibility to Hong Kong. And I think they also recognise that as a whole, Hong Kongers are going, in the long term, are going to contribute a lot to our society. So yes, there will be challenges, of course, in the short term, but I think overall it's a positive thing, and it's seen positively both by Hong Kongers who are coming here and by the majority of British people.
Great, thank you very much. I know you have to go off, so I'll let you go.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to see you. Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Continue now. Okay, so that was Benedict Rogers, the co-founder and co-executive of Hong Kong Watch. We'll see. Well, people have really dispersed quite quickly, actually, while we were doing that interview. Maybe we'll see if a couple of the protesters want to talk to us before we wrap this up. So let's see if some of the people here would like to have a chat. Hi, excuse me. Hello, excuse me. Sorry, we're just doing a live stream. Would you like? Sorry?
You want the interview?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Because my English is not.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Yeah. He is not too confident in speaking English, so we'll see if we can find another person who'd like to speak. Let's go to this group. Hi, excuse me. Hello, excuse me. We're doing a short live stream. I wondered if you'd like to tell me why you are here, why you're protesting, if you had any. Would you like to tell me why you are here?
Because
we're doing a live stream for NTD.
Okay. Hello. Today is how to say, it commemorates the second year anniversary of the June 12th incident.
And what's your story? Have you recently come to the UK on the BNO, or have you been here for a while?
I'm through BNO and I have been there for several months, just still getting used to the city, exploring the city, and to start my new life here for work and living, and to continue to stand with Hong Kong.
What was it like when you've left your life behind in Hong Kong? Did your family come with you, or is it just yourself who came?
I come here with my friend only. Yeah. My family members still in Hong Kong, and because I would like to seek a place to start my new life, have a better democracy and freedom, human rights.
Would you ever like to go back if there was a chance? I mean, it must be, and what do you miss about Hong Kong?
In the near future, I would not. Maybe after many years, because now it's still a chaos in Hong Kong, to be honest.
Do you have any experience of that when you were in Hong Kong? Were you in the protest in 2019?
Yeah, I participated in some demonstration, assembly, but luckily not getting hurt. Otherwise, I'm not here. and yeah.
Yeah, because I guess over here we saw on television the police when they had the pepper spray and the rubber bullets.
From the police are very serious. Many Democratic Party members, teenagers are prosecuted. Some are even put in the jail for many months or years, and some are disappeared without reasons. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the UK anyway. And yeah, so was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I hope everyone stay safe, stay well, and coronavirus will end soon.
Yeah, of course. Do you mind telling me your name? It's up to you if you don't want to.
My name is Asta.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Just for when we do the package afterwards. Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Bye. Okay, so I think things are winding up now, but that was I think a lot of the people here probably recently came here for their BNO with a BNO visa, and those visas apply to. There's about 3 million Hong Kongers who can apply for that route, and as we were saying earlier, about 34,000 have applied to come here on the UK on that visa. Okay, so as you can see, there's a yellow umbrella and a few people left here, but everyone's dispersed, and the next place we'll be going to is Leicester Square, and then, well, the next place these protesters are going to Leicester Square, and then they'll be marching, joining another group, going to Parliament Square. So we're going to head to Parliament Square, and we'll be back, I guess, in about an hour or an hour and a half. Let's see what time it is. Probably, about an hour and 45 minutes or so. So, okay, we'll finish there.